Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Japanese Wrestling Classics with Roy Lucier. As the title says, my name is Roy Lucier, and this week I am bringing to you another blast from the past, a name that a lot of you people will recognize from the glory days of All Japan Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah as well. The guest here is a graduate of the All Japan Dojo. On top of that, he was right in the thick in the middle of right when All Japan and Noah had their split, and tells a lot of wonderful stories here about what happened when the split happened, who went and for what reason, his feelings behind it, and everything in between. As some of you may know, my guest this week is Mr. Richard Slinger. Without any further ado, let's get to the interview with Richard Slinger that I recorded. Here it goes. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Welcome, wrestling fans. This is Roy Lucier here with Japanese Wrestling Classics with Roy Lucier, and I have a special guest here, someone that's made dozens and dozens of appearances in the ring in Japan, and I am honored to have this man on the show. We have Mr. Richard Slinger on the show for us today. Mr. Slinger, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Okay, so, have you been a wrestling fan your entire life?
Oh, yeah. Ever since I was able to watch TV and, oh, man, as long as I can remember. Probably ever since I was able to walk.
Who are some of your favorites growing up watching wrestling?
Some of my favorites? Oh, man, probably some of the old-timers like Jackie Fargo and, of course, my uncle and the Three Birds and, man, Tojo Yamamoto. Those are some of the names that come to mind. And you know, Lou Thez even.
Thez is a great one for sure.
Yeah.
Now, you were one of the few gaijins who graduated from the All Japan Dojo. How did you get connected to the dojo to start with?
Well, I was 17, and I graduated high school, man, and Kerry was going back and forth over there. He wanted me to get involved with it and go through their, live at their dormitory and go through their training cycle after I graduated, so he brought me back. He said it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. He said they're going to take your pride away from you, and then they'll turn around and take it away again. And before that, he started, you know, when I was 16, he said, for you to get ready, I want you to get into Taekwondo. I was already wrestling at the high school, so I quit wrestling and got into Taekwondo, and I got all the way to it was the one right before your first degree black belt.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up going over there when I was 17, 2 weeks after I graduated, man, knowing not any Japanese. The only words I knew were sayonara, which is goodbye. So, yeah, Terry opened that door for me over there and got me in.
Awesome. What was a typical day like training in the dojo?
Oh, man, we got me and Oihara, they called him Grasshopper because he was Chinra's boy. All the stars had their own boy. Like Kikuchi, he was Yatsu's, and Chinra had one. It was Oihara. He was my roommate. And Baba, he had Kobashi. And, man, a typical day over there, we would get up and we would start cleaning, doing laundry for the older guys and cooking. And we'd get out there and start cleaning up the dojo. We'd splash water in the rings and sweep it and try to keep it clean. Because we took a lot of bumps on that thing, man. And I'll never forget the broom that we used. It's like the old Tommy brooms, you know, like a bunch of twigs tied together, you know. Don't look like a typical plastic broom that you would see here in the States. But we used it every morning, man, on that ring and trying to clean it up. And then we laid it on our senpais, what we call them, the older ones, the older guys to come out. And we would start stretching, do run, you know, certain training procedures in the ring, and then we'd get on our necks and do a lot of bridges. And Ogawa, he was the boss at the time. He would, you know, he was the one with the most seniority. So he would come over there while we were bridging, and he would sit on our chest, and while we touched our nose to the mat and stayed up on our toes and in the bridge, and then we started doing tackles, so 10 tackles, and the next guy, and then it would be Orihara, and then it would be me, and then it would be Orihara, and then we took up to 200, 250, 300 bumps a day on a good day, and then after that, 2 to 3 hours in the ring, we would always cook what they call chunko. So it's famous traditional food that goes way back, like to sumos and the sumo stables. They get a big pot and rice, and you eat it along with rice. It's got like meat. It would either consist of meat or ground turkey, and you would put it in there with vegetables like a lot of cabbage, a lot of mushrooms, and oriental vegetables, tofu, and man, I really miss. I made it once over here, and I don't know that I can do it again because I forgot how to do the recipe. But that was a typical day, and then, you know, we would always do the weight training. They had the weights and the dumbbells and the barbells and the bench out there, and the training was so hard, man. I was they had earthquakes over there all the time. The first one I was in, I was so tired I was sleeping upstairs after training, and it was shaking my bed, and I looked up, and Orihara he was smiling and saying something in Japanese, and I seen that it didn't have an effect on him, so I was okay. So I just laid my head back down and went to sleep, man. That's how tired I was. During my first earthquake over there. It was something.
What was the turnover to finish rate in the dojo? I mean, you must have seen a lot of, you know, gaijins and natives that went through the dojo and at some point just said, you know, the hell with it, I'm done. But, you know, you stuck through it. I mean, what was the turnover rate?
Oh, man. I would say I would say 2 out of 3 people would not make it, man. I've seen them take that Shinkansen train from way up north there to Tokyo, man, for a 4, 5, 6 hour train ride, and man, this lasts for about 45 minutes, and Ogawa would be asking me, you know, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to be able to do it. And get my fan, I cannot. And they get on that train ride all the way back home, man, after 45 minutes and going through what we was going through, you know. So it wasn't a walk in the park. I can certainly tell you that.
Wow. And can you explain some of your duties in the dojo after the gym and ring work?
Yeah, man. It pretty much consisted of cooking. I mean, we had Tobashi there, Takuchi, Ogawa, John Kenta. I mean, these guys could put away a lot of food. We would go shopping, and you know, there sat the guy. You know how that guy all does. It's like a bazaar. Of shops. You do your shopping, get all the food prepared, and I mean that in itself took quite a while, man. And we'd set that pot in the middle of the room. We'd all sit down in a circle around it, and you know the one with the most seniority, he would go first. Was that'd be Ogawa, and then next I think Kikuchi, and then Kobashi, and Olihara and myself would be last. And when John Central was there, man, he would go first because he was former sumo too.
Were you familiar with the scene in All Japan before you left to join the dojo?
Just from what Terry told me, he said, prepare yourself, and I tried to physically and mentally prepare myself because I knew that it wasn't going to be easy. To speak any Japanese, my first lesson was from the airport on the way to Tokyo. From the Narita airport, it took about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and Momota, Ricky Dozan's son, teaching me how to count. Ichi ni san, each, and he was like scratching. You remember that ichi, the knee, he pointed to the knee. That's 1, 2, 3, and then sun. I mean, remember what the sun looks like, and then in the daytime, and then ichi ni san she like a female. That's the number 4, and then go like in go, take off running, or go somewhere. That's number 5.
I never would have thought to put that together like that.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
Who are some of your favorite people, both Japanese and Gaijins, to work with in those early years in All Japan?
Oh man, the early years, just about it. I couldn't say anybody. I mean, Don Mike Smith, Johnny Smith, and even Davey Boy whenever he would come over there. Man, I had some great matches with the Malenko brothers. I mean, their style was good, and then we did a lot of 6-mans, Terry and Doc and myself. Kenru was my hero, man. I never did get to work him until Noah made its premiere.
Yeah.
And, it was such an honor to get in the ring with somebody that I admired so much. I've got a VHS tape around here somewhere. So popular because before I debuted, we had to stay outside. The young boys had to stay outside the gate and escort the stars or whoever was forming to and from the ring. And my first week there, Kenru, it was his mind. It was a great mind in the way he did things. To hear the people stomp the floor.
Yes.
Something that I've never witnessed before in my life. I mean, the finishes they could come up with, it was on and on. And, I thought, this has got to be it. It would be it. And people went nuts. Him and Kawada and Fuyuki.
Oh, yeah, Footloose.
Phenomenal. They had some phenomenal fits, man. Even if it wasn't TV, too, I mean, we're talking shows that wouldn't, unless there's pictures out there, nobody even knows about. And they call them regular house shows.
Tell me what you felt when you were told during the summer of 1990, a little over a year into your career, that you would be working multiple singles matches against the Destroyer.
Oh, yeah, man. Boy, somebody that's, famous over there. He wore that mask everywhere. But, yeah, I was, and it was 89 that I went over there. I spent my 18th birthday over there. Yeah, I had some great matches with him, man. He was smooth as silk. And, man, he wore that mask in with the way the security. I mean, he would wear them in airports. I don't know that he would be able to do it today in 2017, man, but I remember Every time seeing him in the airport, he had that mask on.
I just saw him 2 months ago in Vegas, and I know the casinos have a rule about wearing masks inside of there, and basically his son would get him into the elevator, and then on the way up put his mask on for him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Kurt.
Yeah, Kurt's a hell of a guy.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna come out to that reunion. The Cauliflower, is it the Cauliflower Alley Club? They do their thing every year.
Yeah, they always do it the last weekend of April, first week of May. They usually do it like on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just so they don't interfere with any of the boys' bookings.
Yeah, if I can do my schedule, I work armed security for the government, man. So
Wow.
Yeah, it's a contract position with TVA. It's pretty busy.
What was it like to work with both Andre the Giant and Giant Baba in the ring?
Oh man, words can't describe. I mean, they would look like they were crushing you, but it's just, going there and taking bumps and selling for somebody that's over with the crowd that much. And Andre and Baba going at it with each other, and the people would just go nuts. It was great to be part, great to witness another match, a house show that wasn't on TV. Terry and I got to tag against Andre and with Marty and Noe. Andre would put a couple guys in the corner and back up against him like he was squashing them. I mean, Terry was on top of me. I was in the turnbuckle, and Andre just backed up, put his arm in, and Terry, and oh man, we just sold it like $1 million, and people thought we were getting squished to death, and it was a whole lot of fun, man. It was a whole lot of fun.
Now, which tag partners would you say that you had the most chemistry with in the ring over the years?
Oh, man. I would say Scorpio, my uncle, and even some of the Jacks that I held out. There was just so much talent. Misawa, even. You talk about talent, man. As somebody that gave it all. I mean, he literally gave it all, man. He passed away in the ring.
Yeah.
Somebody that gave their whole life to the business. I mean, even literally dying like that, man. It's something else. Yeah.
Now, was there anyone from the States that you wished All Japan would have brought in during the 90s?
I would say, I would say so. That I'm sure that there was, but keeping up as far as Gaijin goes.
Yeah, Gaijins, yeah.
I wish we could have had Vader on our side, man. He would back then, and eventually he did go to All Japan, but New Japan had some decent talent over there, man. For Gaijins, Scott Norton and Vader, and even Scorpio. He trained over there.
Yeah.
They call it Shin-Nihon, and we were Zen-Nihon. All Japan is Zen-Nihon.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why they put me to answering the phone, because I really couldn't understand what people were saying, but they would always ask for somebody like Masawa-san or Ogawa-san. I would say, when the phone would ring, here's how you're supposed to answer it. You go, Zen-Nihon Pro-Res Gaskujo desu. The Gaskujo was the dormitory and the dojo. So, and then by the time I don't guess they thought I was a gaijin because I was speaking Japanese and they couldn't see me. And then they would say somebody's name like Misawa-san or Ogawa-san, and I said, "Hi, Chakamate Kudasai," which means hold on for a second, and I'd go get whoever they requested.
Now, I've read and I've seen multiple stories about you being pretty close to Misawa outside of the ring. Mind telling us any stories about Misawa?
Oh, man, he was a super nice guy. Going out and eating and singing at the karaoke. Whenever I first went over there, the karaoke that they had. The only two songs was like let's see, Yesterday by the Eagles and Love Me Tender and by Elvis. And I was like, man, if this kind of thing could get over in the United States, it would be huge. And it wasn't long karaoke is how it's pronounced. And you know, I'm from the South, and hearing these guys around here that are karaoke, we're gonna sing some karaoke. I think it's hilarious. It did. It got over big.
So Misawa would literally sing Elvis and other like karaoke songs?
It would be me singing. They would sing the Japanese songs, you know, some of those famous Japanese songs. But yeah, he would sing. You know, how he get a couple in him and he would let loose.
Didn't you and Misawa take trips to? I believe it was like Joel Goodhart's Tri-State Wrestling to go check out the talent?
Oh yeah, man, we did that, and they even came over here. I did it. That was whenever I was 19. I met him in Dallas, the Dallas airport, him and Fucci.
Oh wow!
And, while we were in Dallas, that was whenever one of the Von Airs killed himself. Was it Chris?
Terry was 93. Chris was like 91, I believe.
91, yeah. It had to be 91 because I was only 19. We went to Dallas, scouting talent. The Sportatorium was still open.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up bringing the Youngblood brothers over. And went to, where else did we go? We went to Florida, Tampa, and watched some of Malenko's dad's show. I don't know, is Malenko's dad still alive?
I don't think Boris is. I know Jody and Dina are still around, but I don't think Boris is around anymore.
And we went to Philadelphia, and what's that guy's? I forget his name. We went to Memphis, and that's where Lawler. He was still running the Memphis Coliseum once a week. We went to New York City. There at the last, I don't think we had any matches. It was just going up there to visit New York. But yeah, we say Philadelphia, Memphis, Texas, Dallas, and we made it about a week of it.
Wow. Yeah, I remember being 18 years old and talking to Dave Scherer, who now runs PW Insider, and he was like telling me, because we were huge All Japan fans, and he was telling me he's at a Tri-State show, and he's all, I'm pretty sure I was sitting near Misawa and Richard Slinger looking back.
Yeah. Where was Tri-State? What town was that in, man? You remember?
That was like Eddie Gilbert, Mick Foley, DC Drake. They were pretty known for their like blood matches and stuff.
Was that in Philadelphia?
Yes, that was in Philly.
Okay, yeah, I remember that. Bam Bam Bigelow was there.
That's right, Luna Vachon.
He was talking to him backstage, man.
Yeah. Now, for those who have always wanted to know how things went, how did you know who you would be wrestling on the tour? Did you find out the day of the show, or were complete matches listed ahead of time?
All Japan, it was always the day of, man. It had it posted by the time we got there.
Oh, okay.
You know, whenever we were young boys, whenever I was still in training, the first thing we did was, you know, we never broke kayfabe. You know, I'm sure the business would have lasted a lot longer and been a lot more entertaining had people kept their mouths shut. But it's hard for a lot of them to do. But the first thing we did is getting off the bus 3 hours before the show even starts, we would tape up all the windows with newspaper. You know, we really was strict about that. I mean, that would probably get you fired.
Now, wasn't there 3 tour buses? There was Misawa's tour bus, the other tour bus with the Japanese on it, and then there was the Gaijin tour bus, correct?
Right. Well, actually, it was Chinru's bus at All Japan.
Okay, got it.
Chinru's bus, and then the Baba's bus, and then there was the Gaijin bus. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I got some great pictures, man. And Jerry owned tour even before I was going over there. It was on some of the tours. You would know many of the guys. Ric Flair was one of them.
Wow.
I got pictures of him and the Shinkansen train, the super Shinkansen, they call it the bullet train, super bullet train.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, standing in the, I guess it's the train depot, you know, things come flying through. And it's like a split second, and they even slow down whenever they approach one of those, you know, podiums, like where you're going to board the train if it's going to stop. But if it's not stopping, it's going straight through. It's like, boom, boom, and they slow down. I'm like, wow, that's just crazy.
Wow.
Super fast.
Now, how come you took a year and a half off, the end of 95 to early 1997? Were you injured at the time?
Yeah, I blew, let's see. No. That's when I joined the military. I think I joined the military in 98. I needed rest, and my son was born in 90. Let's say he was born in 97. Going over there every tour, it can get to you. You know, some people snap, some people it don't have any impact on. I mean, people like Stan Hansen, he would just take a book, and, you know, he was calm, cool, and collective. That way, they would have to kill it with booze or with something to keep their mind off of everything that's going on. And you go over there in the hotels, you don't have any English channels. All of it's Japanese, and the beds are pretty much small, and the bathrooms are very small. And even sometimes, you know, if you don't get out and walk and some of that stuff, get your mind off of it, it feels like those walkers are closing in on you, you know. Terry would call it deep, dark, miserable depression sometimes. That was his name for it. Deep, dark, miserable depression.
Now, what was with the whole tornado gimmick when you came back to the company in 97 on your first tour?
Yeah, I was tagging with Hayabusa. They brought in I guess that's it. Am I saying it right? Hayabusa.
Yeah, Hayabusa, yeah.
Yeah, they had me tagging with him that tour because he was, I mean, he was famous over there.
Oh, yeah.
They brought him from another company.
FMW.
Yeah, he had some skill. He was like a cat. I mean, I was like, man, he was back there smoking cigarettes and he could move like that. It was amazing. Yeah, just like a cat. He was agile like a cat.
So that tornado gimmick, that was just for that tour, and after that you just went back to being Richard Slinger.
Yeah, it wasn't too far after that whenever I stayed out a couple of years and joined the military, and I was 27 at the time I did that, and about 3 years in the military, maybe 2.5, I get a call while I was on vacation in Gatlinburg from Steve Williams. This is whenever they're getting ready to split and create their own company. KB Missile was taking all the boys, and so they're calling it NOAA.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I told Doc, I said, man, I don't know what's going on over there. I said, which one is which company is Kobashi going with? And all the other guys, you know, they said, I love going with Masala. I said, you know, let me sleep on it, Doc. I'll let you know. Offered me a little pay raise, and I ended up saying, no, I don't think so. I'm going to be going with Misawa and his group. And it was me, and I haven't met Scorpio yet. I met him on an airplane. We met up in Atlanta to go to Flight Exchange, and we had a layover in Atlanta. By then, thank God, they had a flight that would go continuously from Atlanta to Tokyo and Narita, and it was 14 hours in the air, man.
Wow.
But before that, while I was still all Japan, sometimes I would go to like Chicago. I would go to Atlanta, then Chicago to catch the Japan Airlines 747. But before that, it was to get from my home to the hotel or the Gakujo, whichever one I was staying at. It was 26 hours, man. That's including layovers and drive time.
Wow.
26 hours, man, of traveling.
Now, I do need to ask, how did that match with Jeff Hardy in North Carolina in '98 come about?
Oh, man, I get a call from Brad Price, man. And, man, bless his heart, as much as I was late to just about every one of his shows, because back then you didn't have the internet, you couldn't really do your directions, and I was like, I looked at the map, it looked pretty close. I wrestled for him, 3 or 4 times, and wrestled some Broadways with Rob Van Dam, and I think this one was near Raleigh, or right outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, and I was like, man, it's an 8-hour drive. This was because somebody told me, and then we got in the car, and it's a wonder we didn't get several tickets, but we didn't get the first ticket, and I showed up, and the second match was on, and I had to hurry up and get my gear on, and Greg Price put that together. It was nice of him to bring me back, man, after being late.
Now, you were right in the middle of the whole jump from All Japan to Pro Wrestling Noah. I think you touched on this a little bit earlier, but who contacted you to make the jump, and was there any hesitation to do it?
Well, it was Remy Momota, the guy that picked me up from for All Japan whenever I was 17, picked me up at the airport and taught me how to count. Well, it was her father. And she was Remy Momota, who is she speaks very good English. She came over here and went to college, I think, somewhere in California. I don't know where, but spoke very good English, and she taught me and said, this is I represent Noah, and I told her I was wondering about what was going on, because I just got a call from Steve Williams about it, and they told me what I would be making, and I was like, shoot, yeah, I'll be there.
Nice.
I've had to fly to Hawaii and go to the consulate to get my visa situated, and from there, man, it was just a matter of the first tour. And I forget what they could add a name for it, takeoff or navigation, and they had some of those names because they based it on space flight.
Now, to your knowledge, why didn't Doc make the jump to Noah?
I don't know. I guess Mrs. Baba Matoko was her name, Toko-san. She probably took very well care of him. I mean, back whenever Terry, before his accident, man, they were making a whole lot of money. That didn't have anything to worry about. Given such a big push by Baba, I would say that Matoko gave him an offer that he just couldn't refuse.
Yeah.
Out of the Japanese, it was only Kawada, Fuchi, and Chohei, the referee, that stayed, and Kea, the Mossman Kea.
Yeah, and I saw Williams, Hansen, Scorpio was there for a bit, but originally or made the jump to Noah a little bit later.
Right.
Now, was there a possibility in your mind that All Japan was going to shut down because of 97% of the roster leaving?
No, I remember Henry leaving and kind of had a big impact on Baba, but that's whenever Misawa came out from under the mask and started getting a push. Baba knew how to make money, man, and he would bring in more guy James to fill in the slots. And that's when I started going to every tour. I have 3 weeks off, but with All Japan, brother, I tell you, it was so much harder on the body. Would spend New Year's in the air. I was left like on the 31st. Spend New Year's in the air would be the second. I think it would be the 2nd of January, whenever we finally got there. Because there's that 14-hour time difference, and the time changes here. It's 13 hours. Man, with the all jet lag, I would always have TV. That January tour was a 4-weeker, and maybe we would go 5-6 days, man, without having a day off at times.
Yeah.
Those 4-week tours was a killer, and we have 2.5, 3 weeks off between tours, and it took a week of getting over the jet lag that's coming and going. Jet lag is pretty serious stuff, man. You wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're ready. You're ready. Like, you are ready to jump up and down and do something, man. That's why I guess a lot of the boys, had their own sleeping medication and was prescribed it. That jet lag.
Now, how many tours of Japan did you have throughout your entire career?
I think with Noah and All Japan, I would say about 70 round trips. But sometimes I stayed over there in between tours. Whenever I was training with All Japan, I would stay over there for the 3 weeks until the next tour. So 75, 80 tours maybe. I flew over there about 70 round trips right at it. And my last one, man, I got so sick. I had an infection called gastroenterocolitis. And it scared me, because they wanted me to come back. And, I think I got over here, I went to see my doctor, and he said that, I had a secondary infection from the gastroenterocolitis. It was messing with my pancreas. And I was looking at having pancreatitis. He said that can be lethal. Take care of it. So I was like, wow. Done some soul searching, and, I got out gracefully. Because I want to be able to fish and hunt with my grandkids once I have some,
Yeah, exactly. Now, did you have a retirement ceremony, or was this?
No.
Yeah, so you found this out in 2005, 2006, and that was it, right?
Yeah, it was it. They called me and wanted to know if I was okay and when I was coming back, if but I wanted to stay here, raise my family, and eventually had another son in 2003. My life was going good, man. I was a bail bondsman. I was a private investigator. It made a real good living doing that. You were able to build my own house. I tell you, going and arresting these mine jumpers, I would spend more to fly like places in Spokane, Washington, rent a car and pick them up in Missoula, Montana, rather than have to pay them off, because I wanted to have a good rapport with all the judges. So I would say that I was the only company in this county to have a 100% appearance rate before I went out of business for 20 years. 20 years, man. I had that company going.
Now, what would you say were the biggest differences between working for All Japan and then later working for Noah?
Well, Noah took better care as far as physical, which is ironic because the Misawa, he ended up passing away the way he did. But they did take better care as far as, not put too much stress on your body. Like every 3 days, you would have at least 1 or 2 days off, which was great. And the tours never lasted 4 weeks. Yeah, it was great, man. The way they took care, and give you time to recoup. after you had the whole match, you know. I tell you, I was a fan, brother. We went hard. We really went hard there in the early 90s. And if you couldn't go, man, you wouldn't be coming back.
There was a general consensus in the 90s, you know, especially the early to mid 90s, that no doubt All Japan was the hardest hitting product out there.
Oh, yeah. And some of the things, man, you would get hurt, like, you know, get a sore neck, but the crowd didn't even notice, you know, what you, they only notice what you're selling, and if you get hit, like Kawada doing a clothesline or kicking you in the face or whatever, of course you're going to sell it, but some things, like getting a finger in the eye, something that really does hurt, the crowd doesn't even notice, and that's you know, that's what's kind of ironic about being in the business. You know, the stuff that hurts the worst, the crowd does not even notice. And some of the things they didn't notice, things that would break bones and break noses. We remember Terry coming back to the corner, tagging out with Doc. We were having a 6-man with Stan and Johnny Ace and some other guys. And he come back and tagged out, and his flipping nose, I swear, was on the side of his face. And I thought, God, what happened to you? And he said, that effing Johnny Ace. And this is how crazy he was. He wouldn't go to the doctor or anything. He straightened out his own nose, man. He put it back in place. He reset it himself. I'm sure it probably took him down in a couple first before he worked up enough nerve to do that. But some of those things, you know, was not noticeable.
Now, the annual tradition every year in All Japan is that annual Battle Royal that they held like in January at, I believe it's Korakuen where they hold it.
Korakuen Hall, Korakuen Hall.
Yeah, and you won it in '93, didn't you?
Yeah.
Looking back, what do you remember from that night?
Oh man, it was sold out first day, and I remember that. They were a lot of fun, man. Those battle royals, you get in there, and they always tell you don't take bumps in battle royals, you know, unless you get down to the last 2 or 3 people, because you're gonna, you know, get hurt or hurt somebody else. It's a lot of fun, man. Get in there, and you know, first of all, you don't have to take a bump, so you're tying up and punching, kicking, squeezing, or whatever, you know.
Now, do you still follow wrestling nowadays, whether the States or in Japan?
Oh, man, I really don't. I stay in touch with Michael Hayes. You know, he works for Vince, and he got my boys some tickets for the local show here in Chattanooga. I took them to the show here. But other than that, now, I really don't watch it a lot. I know there's Ring of Honor. They'll come on because I work a lot of night shift. I know it comes on here anyway. It comes on at night. I go once a week, and I'll watch it for a few minutes sometimes if I'm going through the channels. But you know, they got some of them are pretty impressive. You know, I'm glad that I don't know why Kenta is still with the Nets organization whenever he should be starring for Vince and you know, and a main attraction. You know.
Who is that?
I'm glad that they put Mark. What's his name? Nakamura.
Oh yeah, Shinsuke Nakamura. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad they put him in there. I'm glad that AJ Styles got a push too, man. It looks like he was coming up in the Indies. Took him forever. I remember Ray, my cousin Ray. I had a single matches with him in town like Rome, Georgia, and other independent shows. He was deserving of getting a good push. AJ was.
Now, you still in contact with Ray nowadays?
Oh yeah, I stay in contact with him, man. He's doing great. He's a SWAT police officer. He's staying busy doing that, man. He gets a thrill out of the SWAT team. He got a picture of him with the battering ram when they knock down the doors. So I bet it's a lot of adrenaline, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you had an amazing career in Japan, and a lot of people, look back and remember you fondly. You had some wonderful matches, junior heavyweight matches and tag team matches over the years and stuff. Do you have any highlights looking back, like what comes to mind when you look back on your career that you think of first?
Oh, I would say the biggest thing that I can remember is the Tokyo Dome show, and it almost being sold out. I think it was about 60,000, maybe a little over that. But that was one thing, I was kind of nervous because they drove us in a van, like an SUV, to the place where we wanted to walk down the ring, Scorpio and myself. And Tokyo Dome is a huge place. I remember seeing the screen, and I had it in my mind. I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. Because the finish was on me putting Hashi in the choo-choo. I didn't eat this way. You didn't see me staring up at the ceiling. It didn't have an impact on me. I knew what it was, and I knew how to overcome being intimidated by the crowd. It's what you got to do. You got to put your face on, man. Go out there and do it. That music plays. You're ready to walk the aisle, man. It's time to go and try to set the crowd down or stand them up. Abdullah the Butcher was famous for saying that. So you got to know how to stand them up. You got to know how to set them down. That was his nickname, Champ. Because he would call everybody Champ. That's heavy, Champ. I can still hear him say that.
Now, do you have any final words for the listeners out there who look back on your career and remember it fondly?
Oh, man. Hey, stay strong and get your education and don't give up on your dreams, man. If you can dream it, it's not impossible. The sky's the limit. Don't quit. Start something, especially don't quit.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much for your time, Mr. Slinger. You've been an excellent guest, and I really appreciate you giving me this time here to interview you, and I hope down the road that we can do it again.
Yeah, I do too, man. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. We look forward to hearing you again soon.
All right, man. You take care.
All right, take care.
Hello, this is professional comedy wrestler Kiku Taro from Osaka, Japan. You are listening Japanese Wrestling Classic with Roy Lucier. Bye.
Well, there you go, everyone. There is my interview with Richard Slinger. I hope you all enjoyed it. And thank you as well to Kiku Taro for that wonderful shout out there. Just so everyone knows, I thought I'd pass along to everybody that I literally have been able to reach out to quite a few people within the business ever since my first episode. I don't want to spoil anything because I think part of the excitement of doing this is being able to announce guests at a decent pace and not rushing too far ahead. But let's just say that I have enough guests lined up for the rest of the year. Once every couple weeks, and the thought of that really makes me happy, that I get to be that middleman that reaches out to these people. I feel I have some great episodes ahead for everybody. So please, thank you for your support. Pass the word around. I really want to thank the wrestling community and my family for the support on this show. This past weekend I was at a couple shows, and I really had a lot of networking out there. So I have one guest already lined up in the future that a lot of you will easily know. But I've gotten a lot of inboxes from past All Japan stars, current wrestling stars that have been able to locate past All Japan stars for me. And I'm just letting you know, everyone, there are big things planned ahead with this show. And I'm just happy to be able to reach out there and to do something like this. So I just really want to see this show take off, and I want to thank you all for listening. Before we go, I just wanted to throw this out there. Some people that have helped along the way that I really want to thank. everyone, don't forget, if you live in the Northern California area, Stockton Con is coming up on August 19th and 20th in the city of Stockton. Come meet a very close friend of mine, Scott Schwartz from A Christmas Story, who's bringing along Zach Ward, the guy who played Scott Farkas, the bully in A Christmas Story. Also, for Stargate fans out there, come meet Alexis Cruz, who will be there as well. And also, pro wrestlers Hurricane Helms and Rey Mysterio will also be there as well. Rey Mysterio will be Sunday only. I wanted to thank Heroes and Legends Wrestling. They'll be running as well in Ohio on September 1st and November 11th. Also, check out their website for premium merchandise and autographed at great prices. 2K Sports as well, thank you so much for your help with this show. Check out their line of NBA and upcoming WWE games. I'm really actually looking forward. I know this is a Japanese show, but I just want to say I'm really looking forward to the roster announcement that's coming out SummerSlam weekend. Hikataro as well, as you heard by the announcement. Check out his Pro Wrestling Tees line. He's got some great stuff there that I really, I have a couple shirts myself. You know, I'm a firm believer, and this guy's wonderful. You know how many people, you know, come from Japan that want to live out their dream in the United States, and this man is doing it. Very, very great guy. He's wonderful to me, wonderful to my family, and I'm asking everyone out there, check out his line on Pro Wrestling Tees, and, you know, decide for yourself if you want to get a shirt or not, but I definitely recommend them, and I have a couple myself, even my mother-in-law has one. And Mr. Athletic, Jeff Cobb, check out his line on Pro Wrestling Tees as well. Book that brown guy. I guarantee you, if you're a promoter and you want to have some of the best current wrestling out there, bring in Jeff Cobb. Not only is he a wonderful addition in the ring, but the guy will light up your locker room as well. That's something I personally can vouch for. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to another edition of Japanese Wrestling Classics with Roy Lucier. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time here on Japanese Wrestling Classics with Roy Lucier.